In this video, we're talking about sunlight. In this video, I will explain to you why plants need it and what they do with it, what happens if they get too much or too little sunlight, and 3 general light requirements for all vegetation. Let's get to it. Plants are like people. We need light, but not all of us need the same amount of light. When we're outside in the sunlight, our bodies absorb vitamin D. And this in turn helps our immune system get stronger and builds up our immune system so that it functions the way it's supposed to. If we don't get enough sunlight, our bodies become vitamin D deficient and become prone to getting sick more often because we have a weakened immune system. We might feel tired, depressed, we might lose our hair, we could experience muscle pain, and even worse. The point is, we all have different needs and plants are no different. Why do plants need light and what do they do with it? Plants need sunlight to convert light, oxygen, and water into energy and chlorophyll. The energy is used for plant growth, for blooming buds, for fruit production, and for seed production. And the chlorophyll is what makes the plants green. It gives it the green color. For the leaves, the stems, whatever's green, it's the chlorophyll. What happens when plants don't get enough sunlight? When plants don't get enough sunlight, the entire plant will reach and move towards the sun. So you will literally see the plant turn and start leaning in and reaching towards the sun. Stems will get longer than they normally would. This is called a leggy plant. And their leaves are further apart than they normally would be. The color starts to fade from a dark or bright green to a light green, and then to a yellow, and then to a white because of a lack of sunlight. A lack of sunlight will cause a plant to drop its leaves and possibly not even produce buds. Of course, any plant that you're growing for food, you want to see buds on that, because if there's no bud, then there's no food. So it is very important to pay attention to these things. This is where observation really kicks in. When you're looking at what you have planted and there's no bud, something's wrong. There needs to be a bud or multiple buds on any type of vegetation. When plants don't get the right amount of sunlight that they need, then they don't have the energy to grow and eventually they die. So what happens when a plant gets too much sunlight? When plants get too much sunlight, their leaves will start to wither. Their leaves will start to dry out, scorch, burn. One thing that's important to remember is that too much or too little sunlight is always relevant to the plant. So what are the 3 general requirements of sunlight for all vegetation? I say general sunlight requirements because there's a lot of flexibility. There are no hard and fast rules on light requirements. There's a lot of variation, and as you learn more and more, like I am, you'll find that you can kind of, there's a lot of wiggle room. You know, there's not like you have to do this, you have to do that. There is a lot of experimentation that goes on when you're learning, and even you're always learning. So you're going to be experimenting. You're going to be kind of, once your confidence builds up, you're going to be testing things out and seeing, maybe pushing the boundaries or what you think are the boundaries a little bit. I like to say that these, general requirements are kind of like a 2-lane street. You have 2 lanes with, broken white line. You don't have to stay in that one lane. You can go to the right, you can come back to the left. There is some room for variation. So you don't really have to feel like if you don't follow these specific rules, you're gonna fail. That's not the case. Fruiting vegetables need 8 hours of direct sunlight. Root vegetables need 6 hours of direct sunlight. And green leafy vegetables need 4 hours of direct sunlight. Fruiting vegetables should be facing south, southeast, where it gets a minimum of 8 total sunlight hours. So it might be in a place where it is facing south, but maybe it gets 4 hours straight of direct sunlight, and then maybe there's a period where there's some shade, maybe for like an hour or 30 minutes, whatever the case may be. And then after that shade part comes the sun again, the sunlight shines again, and they get another 4 hours. That's totally fine. It doesn't have to be 8 consecutive hours. You just need 8 total hours. And the same goes for, your rooting vegetables or your leafy greens, anything like that. Root vegetables are better placed on the east side of the garden, where it gets a total of 6 hours of sunlight. And again, that is total hours of sunlight, not consecutive. It can be broken up as long as they get a total of 6 hours of sunlight. Leafy greens are best placed on the north side of the garden. This is the side of the garden that will get typically the least amount of shade and will be cooler. And usually leafy greens are the plants that like the cooler weather. They need a minimum of 4 hours of total sunlight. I really want to encourage you to remember that when you're learning anything, there's difficulty, there are going to be challenges, there's going to be a lot to remember. But please just get started anyway. I encourage you to start learning what it is that plants need before you actually start planting your seeds. Right now it's the perfect time. We're in the middle of February, zone 5, it's cold outside. You can't go out there and plant any seeds. You might be able to you can actually start planting seeds indoors right now and have them ready to plant out in the spring once the ground is not frozen anymore and there's no risk of a frost coming and wiping them out. You can do that. But right now it is just so important. I just really want to encourage you to take the time to learn as much as you can. These next videos that I'm going to be making are going to be all to help you to prepare and just to make you aware. You're not going to be able to remember everything, but it'll just start to awaken inside of you that inner gardener and help you develop that green thumb. So I just want to encourage you, get out there, look for that information, find all the information you can, soak it all in. Soak it all in as much as possible. Read as much as you can, watch as much as you can, and you're good to go. If you got value out of this video, I want to ask that you would press that subscribe button, hit the like button. It makes all the difference. I would really love to hear from you, so please leave a comment or a question in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.